Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues series was supposed to be a gateway into Flat Earth, trying to help people conclude slowly that the Earth is flat. The trouble is they're nonsense. And recently we've been working our way through them, debunking each episode. And today is episode 6, where Mark talks about depth perception. Oh, the joys. Roll the titles. Hello all and welcome along to another video with me, Simon Dan. Thanks very much for joining me. Okay, if you didn't know it yet, this channel now uploads fresh nonsense reviewing videos daily. So please do subscribe if you haven't done so already to make sure you don't miss anything. And if you haven't seen the previous 5 videos in this mini-series, I've now made a playlist. The link for that is in the description. Check them out at your leisure. Right, on with today's video then, and Mark is talking about deep inside the Earth and how thick the flat Earth needs to be. Let's have a look.
This clue looks into the inevitable design question below the surface, or more specifically, how thick the flat Earth design would need to be. To start, let's quickly recap the design features so far. A basic dome structure made up of advanced high-density material, thousands of miles wide, and at least 100 miles in height. The ceiling of said structure being projected upon by an ultra-high-definition system using super LED technology and a combination of 2D and 3D imaging to simulate all celestial bodies, including sun, moon, stars, and so on.
Unreal that Mark thinks this is a possibility. Where did the resources come for this advanced high-density material? How do you project a 3D celestial sphere onto a 2D dome ceiling and still have everyone see it from the right angle no matter where they stand? And crucially, if the sun is fake, explain heat. Why is it hot at noon and cold at night? Where is this magical heat source hiding? Is it also projected? Can I project myself sunburn? There are so many things wrong with this theory that it's just laughable.
This ceiling is then protected by a scaling decrease in temperature and oxygen levels to the point where human life isn't naturally sustainable above 4 miles. The lower surface of the dome structure consists of an organic layout of continents grouped at the center, ensuring that no land bridge exists to the outer ring. This is then surrounded by hundreds of miles of salt water in order to limit sea travel. The salt oceans are then adjusted with a scaling decrease in temperature as the outer area is approached, to the point where salt water freezes, forming icebergs, further reducing sea travel.
I foresee more problems here. If the temperature and oxygen levels are being engineered to stop people going too high, then who or what is maintaining that? How exactly would you stop a land bridge from forming? Tectonic plates move, erosion happens. If this is a design system, are we seriously saying someone micromanages continental drift just to stop people walking too far? Mark then says that the oceans get colder and start freezing into icebergs the closer that you get to the edge. You mean like the natural polar regions of Earth? So you're describing the exact behaviour of our globe model and claiming it's a feature of your fake dome prison. Have you heard yourself, Mark?
The outer ring is then elevated to a height of 10,000 feet, reducing oxygen levels, and a buffer zone of 300 miles is created. This zone is devoid of all life forms that could be used as food, further discouraging land travel. That all sounds pretty good, but we left out one thing: depth. Keeping human beings away from the ceiling is easy, because it requires higher technology. Protecting the outer ring is a little more difficult, but can be accomplished with layers of negative reinforcement. Protecting the actual common ground is a different challenge, because digging is basic. Everyone knows how to use a shovel, and most construction requires a generous amount of digging. In addition, natural resources such as coal, oil, minerals are harvested through large-scale digging operations. So it's safe to say that any human population is going to be digging a lot of holes, because it's easy and it's necessary to continue their way of life.
The thing is, we've already dug down 12 kilometres into the crust of Earth. That's deep enough to cook a lasagna in under a minute. And what did we find? Just more hot rocks.
That being said, how thick would you need to make the flat Earth model so that people didn't accidentally dig their way through? You could use the same method as the outside barrier and create a series of undesirable layers, ending in a solid barrier. But the ever-expanding increases in general population would create an unnecessary risk. If the bottom of the flat Earth was composed of, say, an unbreakable material, this would pique the digger's curiosity, and if repeated all over the world, would raise suspicions of design. While a solid barrier works at the end of a frozen wasteland where no one is venturing, or allowed, it doesn't do much if it's found in a mining quarry or someone's backyard.
This entire theory so far would require the entire crust of Earth to be some sort of elaborate decoy, with just enough convincing geology to fake millions of years of plate tectonics, volcanism and resource distribution. Here's the key problem, Mark. You're building a model where human curiosity is your biggest flaw. You can't let people go too high or too far or dig too deep. But that's exactly what humans do. We fly, we explore, we dig, we mine. And we've been doing that all for centuries, without ever hitting the edge, or the ceiling, or the underside of your imagined disk.
For that, you need something that hasn't been used up to this point. A scaling increase in temperature, all the way to an ignition flashpoint and then beyond. Now you will jump in and say, well, of course, we all know that there is molten rock below the surface. We see it in volcanoes and, well, volcanoes. Yes, you do. And we've all seen the cross-section diagram of the globe Earth, which shows ever brighter bands of molten structure and so on, which is why I included the wiki link in the description that covers the official view of the Earth's structure.
Now, Mark is very good at this. He acknowledges just enough real science to sound informed, then immediately backs away from it the moment that it contradicts his narrative. He says, yes, we see molten rocks in volcanoes, and then just hand waves past the fact that those volcanoes are the result of plate tectonics, mantle convection, and a spherical Earth model. He wants the lava without the geology. He wants the heat without the core, and the results without the mechanism. But this breaks down for Mark if you question it. If volcanoes exist, and of course they do, then where do you think the molten rocks come from? What's fueling it? No doubt this would come with an I don't know from Mark.
And I quote, "Scientific understanding of the internal structure of the Earth is based on observations of rock in outcrop, samples brought to the surface from greater depths by volcanoes, analysis of seismic waves, measurements of gravitational and magnetic fields, and experiments with crystals at pressure and temperatures characteristic of the Earth's deep interior. In short, they have no clue on what's below them. None."
Mark's just listed multiple lines of evidence, cross-checked, modelled, and used to make accurate predictions that match observed reality, and yet after listing these perfectly legitimate techniques, he finishes with, in short, they've got no clue what's below them. None. Seismic waves alone give us an excellent idea of the Earth's structure. If Mark spent a little time reading papers on this, he'd understand. Just because Mark doesn't understand a method, it does not mean that method is wrong.
In fact, the deepest holes ever drilled, which I've also linked in the description, only go down 8 miles. To repeat, no one has gone below 8 miles anywhere. And every drilling survey is the same, a scaling increase in temperature to the point where drill bits stop working. And you come back and say, but volcanoes. Yes, there are volcanoes, holes in the earth where molten rock is produced, under pressure, I might add.
Yes, pressure. As pressure increases, temperature increases. Almost as if, I don't know, there's a giant planet made of rock. And the deeper you go, the more rock is stacked upon you, pressing down and trapping heat. Weird, that.
Certainly that can't be artificially created. No? We can melt rock right now. It's called a smelting plant. What do you think your car is made out of? Melted, reformed, and polished rock.
No, Mark, your car isn't made of melted rock. It's made of refined metals, like steel and aluminium, produced by extracting ore from rock, melting it, purifying it, and alloying it. Look, if we can melt rock at the surface with human-made furnaces, then what do you think happens if we've got thousands of kilometers of overlaying rock, radioactive decay, and millions of years of planetary heat retention? That's geology, thermodynamics, and physics.
We have the technology to do this. It all comes down to scale. Create a large set of furnaces at, say, 50 miles below the surface that can melt and pump molten rock. And you say, what would the furnaces be made out of? Oh, I don't know. How about the same dome material that can withstand nuclear weapons? So you take the molten rock, locate a few random access points on the surface, and the rest comes naturally. Volcanoes also reinforce the Earth structure model that the molten rock goes all the way to the core, which then in turn reinforces the globe model, and then we're back to where we are now. a smoldering globe flying through space at high speeds that, from a design standpoint, makes no sense.
I do wonder if he hears himself sometimes. So volcanoes in Mark's world are not natural. They're engineered illusions, powered by nuclear-proof mega furnaces, buried deep underground. Dear oh dear. He has no evidence for this, by the way. None.
So how thick would the flat Earth model floor need to be? Oh, for common use, say less than 100 miles, similar to the ceiling in scale. Large heat generators placed in a pattern, a thin layer of molten rock 10 to 20 miles down, which is really just a geologic pipe system to help with the generation of terrain. And there you have it, an efficient way of discouraging all those digging humans from reaching too far, combining a physical barrier with a mental one. 8 miles down and you're going to tell me what the entire core looks like? Give me a break. So do some of your own research and ask questions.
So to recap, we've got a flat disk 100 miles thick, a secret network of heat generators buried below it, a molten rock layer placed just right to create realistic mountains, and all of this, millennia of construction, maintenance, engineering, and silence, just to stop people asking questions about the shape of the Earth? Sounds totally legitimate, Mark. Amazing, just amazing. This one isn't even worth a dear oh dear. I expect a peer-reviewed paper on this, Mark, in the coming months. But for now, we're all wrapped up for another video. What did you think of that from Mark? Let me know in the comments below. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another one. Thanks so much for watching. It truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. It'd be very much appreciated. Tomorrow is 5 things every flat earther gets wrong about physics. See you then.